They're designed for people who are blind.
Right.
Like that's why they exist. I did not want to change my life to be in a different place just because I had a disability.
Right.
And I never had a guide dog in high school.
Wow. Now you do. Was that hard?
Now I do. Yeah, it's my third guide dog now. Once I graduated, I had to do something.
Right.
But I was never going to get around. You can't use the fluorescent light bulbs on campus to get around.
Well, let's talk about that transformation for a second. So I'm assuming at the high school level, they never really expected you to be able to graduate, let alone ever make it to anywhere past maybe a community college with help.
In this area, big, right?
Right.
Because everyone grows up in the shadow of Notre Dame. And Notre Dame is like it, man. You make it in there, you're kicking ass and taking names, chewing bubble gum.
Right.
You're all out of bubble gum. So I was like, I'm going to Notre Dame. And I remember one of the kids on the bus, and his dad was like sold insurance, and they thought they were hot shit. And he's like, dude, you're never gonna get in there. And I didn't the first time. I was like, 3.5, 3.4, not great grade, not terrible, but
right,
not straight A's. And it made me so angry. And I thought, you know what? Fuck you little prick. Like, we'll see who gets in, won't we? He's now a soccer coach or basketball coach or whatever at some like little prep school, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But he got pulled out of high school because he couldn't, like, he was failing, and he got sent to a boys' school, like a boarding school. I was like, yeah, there you go, chump. But no. So when I got out of high school, I did not like high school. Hated it. Didn't date anyone. I went to prom after 18 people I asked. 18th was a lucky number.
Wow.
But hey, whatever.
So it was hard. It was hard
like,
enjoying that experience.
It is
for you. It was at least challenging.
It is, and I was bitter, very bitter about it. And to this day, like, I find myself sometimes being like, yeah, it would be a lot easier if I could see my daughter's face. Like, that got to me when we first had a kid. Like, that really sucks.
Right.
But it is what it is. Like, there are so many people who have it harder than I do.
Right.
Now
that's a unique way of looking at it, considering the things that you've been through. Because in today's society, it's so easy to give up and say, "Take care of me. I don't want to deal with this," and have this victimhood mentality. Was it you that did it, or was it your parents that said, "Jim"?
We never had like a sit down or something. But I they used to fight me on homework. We'd have like lockdown battles on homework, and I was an asshole.
So typical kid stuff, like, yeah, I'll get to it later.
Yeah,
Dad.
typical kid stuff. I don't know if I haven't been there yet. She's only 18. She wears 18 months, but she's only 12 months as of 17th of August. So
you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there.
Like, do you like scream at your kid to do the homework for like an hour and a half?
No, usually it's one time with me, because after one time, video games start disappearing, phones start disappearing.
Okay, they did that, Joe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it was frustrating. It was frustrating to me. So you're in class, and 30 minutes. Let's say it's a 50-minute block of time. Okay.
Okay.
30 minutes or so is, and they give you a worksheet, and you can work on it a little bit there, so you don't have to work on it all at home. But how do you put a worksheet into a computer when you're you can't?
Right.
So everything they gave us, I had to do at home.
So, and I want people to keep in mind, through all of this, you're developing this sense of conservatism, this political belief system that's kind of guiding you, which at the time is really weird because you're going to Notre Dame, and Notre Dame's really not known as a conservative bastion. I would say it tends to be a little bit more liberal, probably one of the beginning kind of liberal colleges in America. Would you agree with that?
It's actually one of the more conservative. I mean, not like compared to Bob Jones. So.
Right. I'm talking about back then when you went. It was still.
I was Democrat back then, and I was like not Catholic, so I was a minority on two fronts.
Wow.
So most people there are quote unquote conservative. I mean, remember they had to protest when Obama came.
Right, that's true.
Pro-choice. So now,
because it's Catholic.
There wasn't many students, but it was a big controversy and on campus at the time.
So you go
now
go
we didn't
there.
have Obama during my graduation. We had some I don't know, some head of the Catholic Church who I would talk to my friends who I graduated with a few months ago. I'm like, yeah, I bet he's a pedophile. He's like, that's terrible. I'm like, oh yeah, look it up. And he's like, okay, look him up. And yep, sure enough, pedophile.
Wow.
Now, you know.
So you go from high school, you transition, you're going to college. Now, who expected you to go to Notre Dame besides you?
Who expected me to go to Notre Dame?
Yeah.
My dad and my mom always said, if you want to go to Notre Dame, apply, and if you don't get in, then apply again. Like they've always said, you can do whatever the hell you want. You just have to work for it harder.
Well, exactly. So now you're in Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
I'm at Holy Cross.
Holy
Cross.
Got denied. Okay.
Yeah, Holy Cross. Yeah, where the hell is that? It's across the street. If you watch the movie Rudy, that's where he goes to first.
Okay.
And have you seen the movie Rudy?
I have. Rudy.
Okay, yeah.
Rudy.
So that's where he's at when he's lying about being a part of the team and he's trying to hook up with that chick and they're painting the helmets and they're like, yeah, you can't be here if you're not a student and all that kind of stuff.
Well, and remember, he's nice and people like him.
Do what?
I said he's nice and people like him.
He's actually a freaking weirdo. I met him when I was at student council. He'll get up. If you watch him on YouTube, any of his speeches or whatever, he talks about himself in the third person. If you do that, then you're certifiable, I think. You don't get on your show and be like, Jim Henson says.
Yeah, that's a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So how hard is it for you in college? I mean, obviously, is your dad still helping you or no?
A lot better. No, I didn't have really anyone helping me.
Wow. So you're on your own.
People are older.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on my own. Yeah. Me and my guide dog, Scout. And that, that was, I had been bitten by our family dog when I was a little kid.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, I was like 3 or 4 sitting on the kitchen floor and we had a Cocker Spaniel and 1 minute they're just sitting there and next minute the dog lunges at my face and bites right underneath my eye. Mom starts screaming, call 911. My dad comes out, what the fuck? And grabbed like a plastic baseball bat and started chasing the dog around the house.
So you're kind of scared of dogs.
Anyway.
Then at that point.
Yeah, I was scared of dogs. Yeah. And that's not the only dog that's ever like lunged at me either. So I've had several and everyone's like, oh, that dog never done that. I think it might've been the way my glasses made my eyes look because they like magnified them.
Right.
When I was a little kid. So, they really did magnify. So maybe that's what I don't know what it was. So it was kind of like difficult for me to like, hey, here's a dog that I'm going to trust not to allow me to walk in front of a city bus. But Scout was great. He was my first guide dog. He was a yellow lab, probably about 90 pounds.
Big lab.
But he was a big dog.
Right.
Yeah, big. Yeah. My dog now, Abigail, she's like 60. And my dog before her, Ollie, who I went to Columbus with to live by myself after Notre Dame Law School, he was like 70. So they're growing him a little shorter because it's easier to put him on planes and stuff. But I mean, if they get any shorter, I'm going to have a fucking Chihuahua and I'm going to be like, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
You go through law school. What kind of expectations did they have for you? And I'm sure they were lower than the people that had all their faculties at that point. Did that ever bother you, or was that like fuel?
No, there's no lower expectation because the professor did not know what test is what. At law school, you get into law school, and there's no homework, no nothing. You have one test. That's your grades for the class, and that's at the end of the class. And that's after the first semester, you have a test. Whatever you get in that test, you do it by student ID number. You don't put your name on it. My test, and they're all digital tests too. So it's not like you can. This is now 2008, 2009. I'm getting into law school, so laptops are prominent. The iPhone is out. When I went to high school, it's 2000 to 2004.
Right. So when you get the iPhone,
I'm
that
sorry.
kind of changed your
Yeah.
world, right?
Yeah, there
There
Well,
was
yeah, I didn't have well, I guess maybe, I don't know what the hell I had back then. But meaning, like, the internet 2000s, think where are all the videos of 9/11?
right,
They're all from CNN, NBC. No one had their, smartphones out taking video of it.
right.
If that were to happen
That was
now,
very few,
there's
right?
no more 9/11 conspiracy because you'd have 50 million videos of it.
So, I mean, you're going through all this. The technology is kind of catching up to help you do the things that you need to be able to do.
Absolutely.
And you were a
100%.
Democrat. You came in there, and then all of a sudden you turned conservative Republican.
I did after for a while I was. After I went to Columbus with my job at the Attorney General's office, she always fights naps. You still hear her crying. She did not want to take a nap, but she's like, 30 minutes late. So sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe it makes me a better parent because I don't cave to it. Like,
Right.
Hey, kid, I've had my tough choices too. So deal with it. You get to sleep. Like,
Right. Well, you're a new father, first time.
First time, yeah.
Your baby's not even a year old
Thank
yet.
God, first time.
Oh, okay. So, I met you because we were both doing conservative talk radio.
Yeah.
I thought your show was awesome. You were always very cutting edge. And, I noticed this change. I don't know if anybody else did, but I could tell the difference in your ideology as you were doing the show and the frustration. I could hear frustration in your voice, probably because I knew you at a personal level, not just the show level.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, for sure. I started not liking it, Jeremy.
Yeah,
I started. If I had to do it over again, I wouldn't have. And when I do my next show, if I do one, I'm just gonna fucking say what's on my mind. I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not gonna. It might even be. Some days might not even be about politics. Maybe it'll be about the difficulty having sex when you're married. You know what? Whatever.
Man, that show would get like
me?
300 million views.
What? Sex when you're married?
Yeah. Well, why does it stop when you're married? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it does. My friend Dad was at our wedding. He's like, yeah, when you say yes, they say no.
That's. I mean, so
that's nice.
The possibilities.
Marriage advice, Mark.
Well, they're endless, and I think people get tired of politics. I know I did. And I'll tell you something.
I made the mistake of doing what every radio station does out there. Is Rush Limbaugh. He made $1 billion at it. And anyone that was in radio at the time switched over to conservative talk. Gallagher,
right.
Levin is different because he got in later, but he knew Hannity got in. Hannity, Gallagher, Medved, Savage, they're all in their 60s,
right.
60s, 70s, because they all got in. If you listen to any radio station out there, it's all the same shit. Trump's great. Or Republicans are great, Democrats suck. Oh, that's great. I mean, how many more times can you listen to the socialists are coming for your guns? Well, they were coming for your guns 30 years ago. What the hell happened? We have more guns in our society now. Nothing wrong with guns. But if they're coming after your guns, they fucking suck at it.
Well, let me ask you something. So, I knew you when you were very pro-conservative. I mean, everything about you was pro-conservative. And you were one of the biggest
Other than social issues.
Other than social issues. Yeah, you've always been a little bit liberal. But, Trump, I remember when you were like in love with Trump. I know at least you told me you voted for him.
And I still like his policy. He's not a conservative, though.
No, he's never. And he's never been a conservative. And I think that people get that mixed up.
That's fine. He wanted to win in Iowa.
Right.
But he's never been pro-life until he ran for president. And you're not going to convince me that he's some church-going deacon guy that, go pray. Give me a break.
Well,
you look at a Bible and say, "What's that?" If it didn't have the name of the book on the title, on the cover,
you have pretty strong feelings about him now.
Yeah, you don't dispute an election. You don't do that. They wanted Richard Nixon to do that when he ran against Kennedy. They said to him, his advisor said, "Dispute it. Say it was rigged." And Richard Nixon was a Jew-hating. He used to call Kissinger, "Hey, my Jew boy, how are you?" I mean, He was a narcissistic